Real quick before we get started, link to the channel on Rumble's in the description below. Yesterday afternoon, I tried to launch a brand new channel on Rumble under the name Behind the Line. They wouldn't let me do it. That name has already been taken. Yeah, there's only one me, Rumble. But anyway, I'm staying with the original channel that's under BTLKC84. It can't be found if you search Behind the Line on Rumble, but it's all I can do at this point. If you want to support the channel on Rumble, links in the description below. All right. If you have been following this channel for a while, you guys already know how I feel about Nikki Haley. Good old Saint Nick, the great myth. Every Christmas, St. Nick lies to millions of young, impressionable children. She borrows a beard from the WNBA dump, borrows a gray weave from Joy Reid, puts on a red suit, convinces millions of children that her sleigh has magical powers. She parks on the roofs of millions of homes, slides down the chimney, fighting the rats for the milk and cookies, leaves brand new dolls and toys, or in the case of the Star Trek virgin Mike Freeman, a vibrating lightsaber. And because of her mystical powers, she managed to accomplish all of this in about 8 hours. Best part about it, Nikki Haley accomplishes all of this without harming the environment. Her sleigh doesn't require the use of fossil fuels. All her sleigh requires is faith and a complete lack of logic and reason. But it's not only children that Saint Nick is deceiving. She's also trying to deceive adults. Problem is, no one, and I mean no one, is biting into the shit sandwich that Nikki Haley is serving. Yesterday morning, Ron DeSantis, he announced that he was dropping out of the Republican primary. To be honest with you, his concession speech, that was the best I have seen from Ron DeSantis since his campaign started. He was loose, he was relatable, he was smiling. While I was watching it, I was thinking, where in the hell has this guy been? This guy could have been a legit contender. Now, this is pure speculation on my part, but I think Ronnie was the victim of bad advice, bad counseling. Deep down, I don't think he really wanted to run for president, at least during this particular cycle, because deep down, I think Ron DeSantis knew he wasn't ready. Ronnie, though, he accomplished two things during his concession speech. One, he put himself out of his own misery. And two, he officially ended the campaign of Nikki Haley. Well, KC, that's simply not true. Nikki Haley hasn't dropped out of the race. She is promising to win New Hampshire. Yeah, Nikki Haley promises a lot of things that never come to fruition. Ron DeSantis, he ended her campaign by giving his full support to Donald Trump. Orange man bad! With Ronnie giving his full support to Donnie, the lines have officially been drawn here. On one side, you have the Trumper. He has the support of Vivek Ramaswamy. He has the support of Ron DeSantis. More importantly, he has the support of normal people. On the other side, you have Nikki Haley, who has the support of Chris Christie, the man who automatically qualifies for future employment at CNN because he's got two first names. Now, the support of Chris Christie, it is huge, literally. The weight of his support, it's like having the support of 10,000 average men. Nick Haley is also supported by the establishment. She is the preferred candidate of Ronald McDonald, the huge embarrassing failure that controls the GOP because she is the niece of Mittens Romney. St. Nick, she also has the support of the mainstream media, which is probably why she was comfortable giving an exclusive interview to NBC News this weekend. If her campaign wasn't over before yesterday, it officially ended once this interview aired. As you guys know, my biggest problem with Nikki Haley, I don't believe anything she says. If Nick says the sky is blue, I suggest you grab an umbrella. If Nick says that it's safe to walk across that frozen lake, I suggest you take a good look in the mirror and realize you ain't Jesus. If Nikki Haley says that she wants to be your friend, I would suggest that you don't make any new enemies because you just found one. Everything that comes out of her mouth, I believe the complete opposite. You know, I have a natural skepticism with all politicians. I think all of us do. But there is just something about Nikki Haley, and I can't figure out exactly what it is, but there is just something about Nikki Haley that reeks of inauthenticity. I don't know if it's intuition, but something inside of me keeps screaming, Nikki Haley is not real. She's like a chameleon who blends in with her surroundings, which is exactly what happened yesterday during her interview with NBC News. Yesterday, Nikki Haley, she was interviewed by two unknowns from NBC. As you're about to see, this interview was a serious violation of the woke commandments. NBC sent two journalists to interview Nikki Haley, and neither one of them represented diversity. If you include Nikki Haley, there was a serious lack of diversity in this room, but that's okay. That's okay. Just like she does every Christmas, where she magically transforms herself into a jolly, overweight man, KC, Nikki Haley transforms into Chris Christie? No, I said jolly. Chris Christie is never jolly unless he's at the all-you-can-eat buffet, but he eventually gets pissed off there too when they inevitably run out of food. Yesterday, Nikki Haley, she transformed into a damsel of diversity. She played the role of the ultimate victim to perfection. She was pleading for your sympathy. She told painful stories of her traumatic childhood growing up in the racist South. It was so painful. I didn't qualify for beauty pageants. I was teased every day. I'm a victim. I'm a victim. Watch for yourself.
I was teased every day for being brown. So anyone that wants to question it can go back and look at what I've said on how hard it was to grow up in the deep South as a brown girl. Saying that I had black friends is a source of pride. Saying that I had white friends is a source of pride. If you want to know what it was like growing up, I was disqualified from a beauty pageant because I wasn't white or black, because they didn't know where to put me.
First of all fairness to Nikki Haley, I believe that NBC brought up the subject of mythical racism. I think they asked her about the comments on the Civil War and how she failed to mention slavery, which resulted in this painfully boring diatribe about her life growing up as a victim. That being said, I did not believe a fucking thing that came out of her mouth. It feels like she is trying to play the race card here to make herself more appealing to minorities. Problem is, no one is buying it. Seriously, when you look at Nikki Haley, what do you see? I mean, me personally, I see a beautiful woman who looks great for her age. I think she's 52 years old. If I didn't know anything about her heritage, and the only reason we know about it is because she's been constantly bringing it up. I do find it strange that she's only been bringing this up more recently. Nikki Haley has been on the national stage for about 10 years now. Up until a fean months ago, I had no idea she was Native American. When I look at Nikki Haley, the only brown I see is her hair. 99.9% of people, if they looked at a picture of Nikki Haley, they would probably mistake her for a white woman. And there's a reason I'm bringing this up. As you heard in the clip, Nikki Haley claimed that she was not allowed to compete in beauty pageants as a kid because of her Native American heritage. They didn't know what category to put me in, so they told me this competition is only for white and black girls. You really expect me to believe that? First of all, Nikki Haley was born in 1972. Which means she grew up in the 1980s. I know I wasn't old enough to understand how life was in the 1980s, but I'm pretty sure segregation had ended. I just find it hard to believe that Nikki Haley was disqualified from competing in a beauty pageant because she was Native American. It felt like pandering. This was a pathetic attempt by Nikki Haley to get people to feel sorry for her. Earlier this morning, she got on Twitter and she lied again. I'm staying in this race because Donald Trump is terrified of my momentum. Momentum? What momentum? Nikki Haley hasn't had momentum throughout this campaign. The latest polls in New Hampshire show Donald Trump beating Nikki Haley by double digits. Why in the hell would he be terrified? His only real competition in this race was Ron DeSantis. Nikki Haley has never been a legitimate contender. Let me show you something. Over the weekend, Nikki Haley stopped at a Chick-fil-A in New Hampshire. While she was there, she was approached by someone who I assume is a veteran of the military. He asked her the same question that I would ask her if I ever had the chance to meet Nikki Haley. Why are you continuing to waste hundreds of millions of dollars on a campaign that you can't win? I'll tell you why I would ask her that after I show you this clip, but watch this exchange. Watch as Nikki Haley attempts to make it all about herself while she completely dodges this dude's question. Roll the film.
Do you think it's responsible for politicians to spend like $100 million in Iowa on TV ads when there's homeless veterans out there that could use that money? When you didn't even come close to beating Trump and you spent like $100 million in TV ad money?
Do you know my husband's a veteran?
That's fine, but I'm just saying, I'm asking you...
And do you know that when the media doesn't tell the truth, the whole reason you put commercials on is to tell the truth because the media doesn't?
My point is you're not going to beat Trump, and
you know
all of the money you're wasting could go to better causes.
I appreciate
that. would make the Republican Party actually look better.
You know what? Last I saw, it was a democracy.
Did you know that my husband is a military veteran? No, Nikki, I didn't know that. And no disrespect to your husband, I appreciate his service, but his military service has absolutely nothing to do with this question. The reason I would ask this question is because I think Nikki Haley is being used to bleed money out of the GOP budget. It's abundantly clear at this point that the number one goal in this election from the establishment is to ensure Donald Trump does not get elected. This election is not Trump versus Biden. This election is normal people versus the political establishment. Now, this is me speculating here. I think they are pressuring Nikki Haley to stay in this campaign, hoping she spends as much money as possible so that damages Trump's chances to beat Johnny B. Biden. Nikki Haley knows she's got no chance to win. I mean, she's not a dummy. Her campaign ended as soon as Vivek Ramaswamy humiliated her in that Republican debate a few months ago. Her job now is to waste hundreds of millions of dollars so that money can't be used by Trump against John Biden. If that is actually the plan, there's one problem, one tiny problem: the ego of Nikki Haley. The primary in her home state of South Carolina is about 2 weeks away now. As of this morning, Donald Trump is polling over 60% in South Carolina. Nikki Haley, 25%. Basically, it's going to be a beatdown. It's going to be a huge, embarrassing failure for Nikki Haley. She is not going to allow that to happen. She's not going to allow herself to be humiliated in her home state. You guys remember Jeb Bush? Jeb. Back in 2016, he remained in the primary for too long, thinking that he could beat Donald Trump in Florida. Jeb was handily beaten, and we haven't seen him since. You know, I have more respect for someone like Joy Reid than I do for Nikki Haley. At least Joy Reid tells me who she is. I don't agree with her, but I can at least respect the fact that Joy Reid is willing to broadcast her stupidity. Joy Reid does not hide who she is. We are almost a year into this campaign. I have no idea who the hell Nikki Haley is. I don't know what it is about her, but she just reeks of inauthenticity. I don't know what it is about her. Maybe you can tell me. What is it about Nikki Haley? That interview with NBC News, that was an absolute disaster. Her exchange with what I assume is a military veteran, that shit was embarrassing. Do you think Nikki Haley is remaining in this race to spend money? I can't think of another reason, but you tell me. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. I appreciate your support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. See you guys later.